ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Before going ahead with the next verse, na punyam na papam, probably only one verse could be covered, that too, condensing, cutting short. We will see one aspect of dharma which could not be covered. Many things he skips when the time is not there. At this part, he thought it cannot be skipped. We spoke about one aspect, that the artha and the kama, they have to be pursued depending upon the ashrama in which one is, but always adhering to dharma, paradharma, and above all swadharma, atmadharma, with everything leading to moksha. And how we understood that artha, supreme freedom, is aham, kama, supreme desire, is freedom aham, dharma is only atma dharma, moksha is the culmination, parama purushartha, moksha. Now regarding dharma, a senior yogin explains like this. When artha and karma are pursued without adhering to dharma, it is bad. By hook or by crook, I have to attain this. I have to possess this. I have to fulfill this karma. By hook or by crook, by any ways, this is bad, resulting in very bad karma. Then what is adhering to dharma actually? He says beautifully, mere note, very, very important for all the leftover life to come for all of you. The dimension of your artha kama should change from this moment, not tomorrow, from this moment, not after contemplation, from now, this moment, after hearing this, listening this. He says, mere conformity to dharma is not sufficient. We keep on hearing people say, I do righteous things, I take care of parents, I take care of this thing, I do charity, I do dharma. This okay. Conformity is okay. But when your values are put to extreme challenges, in your Purushartha, pursuit of Purushartha, in your leading your worldly life. He says actual dharma is that where internally you should be in such a state that come what may, even if death comes, you are not able to cross that dharma. That is adhering to dharma. To explain this, he takes two incidents from Ramayana. Mark the words, today, now, this, your dimension of life should change. We all know that how Kaikeyi won the war for Dasharatha and against Indra, and how Dasharatha gave two boons to her and told her, gave her an unconditional commitment that whenever you want, you can make use of these boons. Having given that, we know what two boon she asked. Now comes, there cannot be a more challenging situation for a father, for a king, whose son is to be coronated tomorrow as Chakravarti Ramachandra. Preparations are on. In this extreme challenging situation, also, Dasharatha cries, Dasharatha falls on the ground, he goes unconscious, but he is unable to cross the dharma. He is unable to not to adhere to dharma. So never for a moment he tells her that giving various logics, when we human beings, when we have to cross the dharma, our mind always gives us excuses, logics, intellectually. No, due to this only I am doing this. If these things had not happened, why would I do that? I am not that bad at all that I will go anyway to perform, to take care of my arthakama. Due to this, he did this, Kaikeyi did this. She is a bad mother. She asked these two boons. She is asking of sending Ramachandra to Vanaprastha, 14 years exile. No, as a king, when she is going wrong, this is our logic. When the other person is going wrong, then why should I adhere to dharma? Why should I be satyavadi? Here, this is the thing where inability to cross the dharma, Dasharatha is the epitome of that. Never he goes back on the boon given, on the commitment given. Never he persuades Kaikeyi to take back the boon. Ultimately, he dies after Rama goes, but he sticks to Dharma. This is not, note these lines, note down immediately after the satsang is over. This is not mere conformity to Dharma, this is inability to cross or violate the dharma, violate the values. This is real dharma. Needless to say, Rama comes. There, Rama is a human being. Okay, so for a moment, you leave that part that he is incarnation of Narayana Vishnu. Rama comes. Rama is told this. He is unable to cross the dharma. Inability to cross the values, cross the dharma, he cannot for a moment think that why father told me like this, Why my mother Kaikeyi asked this boon like this? Those thoughts are not coming. That means those thoughts not coming is Rama's inability to cross the dharma. This is real dharma. Harishchandra, when his son's body is being brought to cremation and his wife doesn't have the money, inability to cross the dharma, he says, my master has told that I cannot cremate without taking money, so I will not do that. Whether it is son, whether it is anything, ultimately whether it is death, inability to cross the values, inability to cross the dharma. This is real dharma. This part cannot be missed out, right? Dimension should change. Leave alone nididhyasana, leave alone Atma Darshan, leave alone that in the worldly life, inability to cross the values, inability to think, to contemplate, to plan for crossing the dharma. Very important for grahasthas, very important for brahmacharis. Vanaprastha ashram like above 50 are not supposed to even think of arthakama. Leave it, drop it if you are thinking till now. We will start with a verse from Ashtavakra Gita on many verses he slipped last time. On Chit, on how consciousness illumines. यथा प्रकाशयं येको यां येको देहम् एनं तथा जगत् अतः मम जगत् सर्वम् अथवा न च किंचना. What does it say? I, the one, aham. Do hi padartho, aham. I, the one, illumine this body and also reveal this universe for me. The lamp that lights within and also lights for you this entire world. I, the one, illumine this body and also reveal this universe. Therefore, mine is all this universe, or indeed, nothing is mine. Mark the words. He is going to explain that. Mine is all this universe, or indeed, nothing is mine. Without getting into the exposition of Chinmaya, we will explain with a more easier, he thinks easier way. What does he say? Either the whole universe is in me, or there is no creation for me. Put it in other words, I pervade the entire creation, or there is no creation for me. Apparently, totally contradictory lines. Let us align these two in that state of reaching the source of the source of the source and merging with that. When he says there is no creation for me, the chit, the consciousness that illumines me, that is my BMI senses, everything, that illumines this entire creation as well, which all I have studied in my Guru Shishya Parampara at the feet of my Guru till I got this enlightenment. I have been told, I have been taken through Upanishads, Yoga Vasishta, whatnot, to explain to me that the consciousness illumines me and the consciousness illumines the entire universe. Illumines me means the consciousness illumining me means here in the context, in this context, me is not the consciousness. Me is my intellect, mind, senses, seer, see, and sequence. Okay. And the objects with which we started the seer scene, the drishya is the world. All this has no relevance for here the dimension of the me changes. The consciousness that illumines me the BMI, the consciousness that illumines the creation, all these thoughts, all this awareness, all this truth, all this declaration in the Vedanta, at this state, they don't have any relevance for me. Now the dimension of the me changes. Now this me is the post merger of the reflection consciousness with the absolute consciousness. There is no relevance. So there is no creation for me. For me, the pure consciousness. Will there be any creation for the Brahman? Already explained. He holds a relationless relationship with the creation. He illumines self of all without all. And now, apparently, a contradictory line when he says, I pervade the entire creation. Now, this I is that I, aham. Very should be very clear, otherwise you will be caught between the words and will lead to nowhere. First he said that consciousness illumines this and this creation. When I have merged with that consciousness, this illumining process of creation, all that have no relevance for me, because now I have reached the source, merged with the source. Then when he says I pervade the entire creation means the roar of the Jivan Mukta is, okay, you, not me, you are observing this BMI of mine and calling me as me, Mr. Miss so and so. And you are observing this creation and calling it as creation, Oman, India, US, etc., etc., this person, X, A, B, C, D, etc. From your perspective, all these divisions are there. You are calling me as this BMI. You are calling all the objects of creations as the various objects in the creation. You are differentiating me, the pure consciousness, with me, the BMI, me, or the entire creation. If you are differentiating, let me confirm to you, for me, the pure consciousness, it's a play of expressions. Okay, be very careful. Me, the pure consciousness, for that, there is no division between me, the BMI, and all this creation, because where I exist as that pure consciousness, and there is nothing other than that. So, even if you insist, no, no, there is creation, there is creation, there is you, then I must have to tell you, for your sake, I am beyond even the expression. For your sake, let me confirm to you that if you must see the division between the pure consciousness and the creation and this thing, let me tell you, it is not true, because for you, if there is creation, let me tell you, this consciousness pervades the entire creation. In both the apparently contradictory declarations, the existence of the Jivan Mukta is that there is no disparity. There is no contradiction in both opposite declaration. The contradiction is there in the human mind. That is what Janaka says. As pure consciousness, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham, there is no MBCA. There is no sense perception. There are no sense organs. There are no Purushartha. If you still insist that I should reveal my relation with all this, then be sure, in and while using all this dharma, artha, kama, or senses, shrotra, jihva, all this, everything, manas, antakarana, all this, you will see me using all this, but inwardly, the song of the self emerged in 2012. I am I, only I exist. You are free to think whatever about me, the pure consciousness. Let us hear the verses. What we will do is that when we hear a new verse, we will listen from the starting in continuation.
अनुभूत्यहङ्कार चित्तानिनाहम् न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च व्योम भूमिर्न तेजो न वायुः चिदानन्दरूपम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूपम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायो न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोश न वा पाणिपादं न चोपस्थपायु चिदानन्दरूपम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपम् न मे मधुनैव मेनैव न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखम् मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदान्तयज्ञ अहं भोजनं नैव भोजं न भोक्तः चिदानन्दरूपम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपम्
I think we can end it after listening to the song. Anyways, now see the sequence built up. Expert of the expert logician, expert of the expert rational scientist, expert of the expert poet, expert of everyone has to shine and stand like this before Shankara, the way he has built up the sequence in this verse. Na punyam na papam. मंत्र तीर्थ वेद यज्ञ. We chant mantras initially to control the mind. We go to pilgrimages initially to take us away from all the usual attachments and disconnects from the regular routine. Mantra chanting and yajna, performance of yajna in the beginning, even in the Karma Kanda of the Upanishads, of the Vedas. All the yajnas and the procedure for the Vedas, procedures for chanting of the mantras, performance of the yajnas are given in the Vedas. Pilgrimage again is to gain punya. So all these, the mantra, tirtha, veda, yajna, with Veda in guiding how to chant mantra, how to perform yajna, etc. And the pilgrimages undertaken, they are all in the initial stage of our evolvement, spiritual evolvement. They are all focused on gaining punya. Below that, he is not going, focused on gaining artha. There he is not touching. At least let us assume we have crossed that level of performing all these things for some benefit, material benefit. Let us at least leave alone that stage now. Saukhyam, Dukkham. All these things are performed to gain punya. The punya will give us Saukhyam. Good effects, white arrows, as per karma session. Papam will give us Dukkham, the impact of the red arrows, pain. All these cycle, we have to go through all these things till the time we have discovered our true identity as aham in the Dauhi Padartho, discarding all the na aham, realizing that I am Chidananda Rupa. That aham is not subject to papa or punya, saukyam or dukkham. And that aham transcends all the mantra, tirtha, veda, yajna. Okay. In this sequence, after these two have been covered and understood, there comes aham naiva bhojyam na bhoktam na bhojanam. As long as I am the doer or I am undertaking any action, so as to fetch me any punya, or so as to wash away any of my papa, as long as I am aware of the reasons for my actions with respect to the papa and punya, I am the doer, I am the experiencer, I am the bhokta, and I am aware of the object, punya, papa. Later on, in devotion, in jnana, later on, the bhakti to attain Bhagavan, in jnana to attain self at the higher level. As long as I am aware about all these things, in me I am the karta. So the kartritvam is there. So as long as I am aware I with my ego that I am the doer, the doership is there. The experiencing has to kartritvam must culminate into bhoktritvam. So experience has to be there. The process of experience is very well known, and the object of experience is known. Bhojanam is the object of my object of ultimate object of my experiences or ultimate object of my actions, material or spiritual. Bhojanam is the process. Bhokta is me, the doer, the experiencer. In the context of bhakti, I am the bhakta, the process of my manifestation of my bhakti, that process is the bhajan singing or the meditation or the study circle or whatever in the spiritual wing, as we call. And the bhojanam, ultimate goal, ultimate objective is to gain proximity to Bhagavan and ultimately to merge. In the path of jnana, the goal is the self-realization. The bhokta is the meditator. And the mananam nididhyasana, the process of meditation, is the bhojyam. And the ultimate, the bhojanam, is the object, that is goal of self-realization, which is the only purpose, only goal. Here, starting, he builds up, Shankara builds up. For me, let us start from this way. For me, who is Chidananda Rupa, for me, the Shivoham, I have crossed the state of experiencing experiences and the object of experience. And that state where I have crossed all these three, at that state, there is no relevance. He's not discarding. He's not discarding. It is not to say that a yogi or a jnani will not undertake pilgrimage or will not chant mantras. No. For me, the purpose of the mantra, tirtha, veda, yajna connected to the goal of punya is not there. Since I have crossed all this and I exist as the Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham, at that state, going back to the third line, at that state, I am neither the bhokta, nor there is any bhojyam, the process of experiencing, nor there is any goal, because the goal has been attained. And in that state, now go back to the first and second line. How he has built up, you see. The way Shankara has given Vedanta in such logical way, any prostrations to him, Bhagavad Pada, who is revered as the incarnation of Shiva, any prostration is not sufficient. He has given the sequence like this. Just think, mind-boggling. It is not that he has just built up some lines and given. By negating the kartritvam and the bhoktritvam, the karta and bhokta, the doer and the enjoyer or the experiencer of the results of the action, karma, Shankara confirms that the one who reveals in self, Chidananda Rupa, has transcended his jivahood, and from the jiva he has become mukta, jivan. Otherwise, as long as one is jiva, one has to be the karta at BMI level, and then the bhojanam bhojyam are inevitable, as the bhokta is very much there. For bhojanam and the bhojyam has to be gone forever. First, the bhokta has to be going, and for the bhokta to be transcended, the doership, the karta has to go. Whatever good or bad we do, say bad, the fear of facing that karma for the bad things is very much in our subconscious mind, looming large in our subconscious mind. And somehow, accordingly, we get all disturbing dreams. The fear of facing the karma fetches us bad dreams. We dream of, like Janaka faced the dream of being chased by a lion. We get the dream of being faced by a tiger or something. We dream of facing some extreme challenges, or we dream of even facing the death, etc. All this from the subconscious mind, which is fearing always the result of our actions, past actions, this birth, previous birth, whatever it is. And then after the dream, we get up and laugh at ourselves that no, 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 no. Nothing of that kind has happened like that. I'm okay, I'm safe. Then we befool ourselves that I am be good, do good. I am very good person. I don't know Vedanta, I don't know all these things, but I do good, see good. I always take care of my pa. I do this, I do this. I am good, 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 good. Bhagavan has to say, or Acharya has to say you are good. How you are saying you are good? Wake up, and we think that we are safe. We think that nothing of that sort has happened. Imagine the ultimate awakening. Even waking from a bad dream can give you so much easiness, so much comfort. Imagine the ultimate awakening. Kaivalya or Atma Darshanam or Moksham, or English people fear of sins. Leave alone the thought of Bhojanam Bhojyam Bhokta. There is no karta there. And as per the karma sessions understanding, our sanchita karmas are rendered impotent like roasted seeds. They are not going to fetch us any new. Any fresh this thing, karmic results, and prarabdha is being undertaken by the BMI, and I am not that. Dohi padarto aham naham. When you are in aware, and we started with that. When I exist at that, there is no creation for me. The BMI, which is facing the prarabdha, is a small, insignificant part of the creation, and I have transcended the creation. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shiva. Ultimate awakening. One simple waking up from the bad dreams can give you such comfort, and you enjoy sipping that filter coffee. That forget it was a dream. Imagine the ultimate awakening where all the possible dreams of all the births are gone forever and ever, eternity. There is no sanchita karma, and there is no jivahood. So there is no bhoktritvam, there is no bhojanam, there is no bhojyam, there is no one there who is aware that he is clearing the prarabdha karma. That state in limited English expression or Sanskrit expression can only be said as Ananda. Ananda is a very, 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 very limited expression of that. But world human beings will understand only these words: love, bliss, Ananda. So Vedanta has come down. Satchitananda. Swami Shivananji Maharaj says Satchitananda is a very provisional definition for that state. He says provisional definition. Amma's one writing in one book, which my brother Tiwariji gave me, it comes with flashes. See, we want to go to sleep, except for taking the sleeping pills. Suppose we don't think of that, okay. All other thoughts, I have my eyes should close, my this thing, I should sleep, I should get some 6 7 hours sleep. Tomorrow morning is this session, so I have to wake up and I have to take bath, I have to be fresh, I have to be ready by 6 o'clock. I have to sleep, I have to sleep, I have to sleep, I have to sleep. You are not getting sleep. But what does a child do? It doesn't think so complicated. When the lori is being sung by its mother, it just glides, it takes to that pillow, it glides with no complicated thoughts, it closes its eyes, it sleeps. You cannot keep thinking that I have to sleep, I have to sleep, I have to sleep. You have to effortlessly go glide into that sleep. What is the relevance? With one single pointed goal of moksha, last week what he told, all the failures in meditation, not getting the experience, all those things because, and our escapism that I have to finish these few things are left out. This statement starts from 40, it goes till 90, till I have to say, see my grandson's marriage ceremony. After that, I am ready to leave the world. So grandson's child then is pending. So escapism, taking all these things, our goal is lacking, our connection is lacking. So like that, this thing, the elderly person who was still keeping on reminding to sleep and he was not able to sleep, we are talking about Vedanta, we are talking about meditation, we are talking about all these sessions, we are even writing the responses on these sessions, everything, we are understanding this session. This understanding is a very dangerous thing. Don't understand. Be in that, be that. The understanding divides you from that essence. Transcend the understanding and go and merge and exist as that. Don't tell we have to be like this. Be that. First, be that. You be that first. So, like beating around the bush, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I'm not able to evolve in the sadhana. You plunge into mananam nididhyasanam like the child effortlessly gets into that sleeping mode. You get into that with the 100% conviction. Ultimately, even this I want liberation also go. Na muktir na bandha. Even that division of bondage and freedom goes in the last verse. This line is a very often repeated and not abused, but very underutilized line expression. I am neither the experiencer, I am not the process of experiencer, and there is no object of experience for me. And the meditation meditator and the meditated should go, the bhakta, the bhagavan, and the bhakti should go. Very loosely used words, all these things. When somebody uses these words very loosely, it pains me actually. These are very serious words, very, very serious words. You have to get into that. You have to transcend your bhakti, you have to transcend your bhaktahood, and you have to merge with the Bhagavan. You have to transcend meditation, you have to transcend the process of Nididhyasana, you have to merge with the goal. You are not able to do it, okay, involvement, but that sadhana, mumukshatva, that fire has to come. Let us not use all these words very, very easily. They mean a lot. In the path of jnana, what does it mean? Sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. First qualification. Without viveka, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen means nothing will happen. 20 years, if you have to practice viveka first, then get into nididhyasana. After enduing yourself with the sadhana chatushtaya and undertaking all the sessions, actually in the Guru Shishya Parampara, at least the 10 major Upanishads, major means all the Upanishads on which Shankara has given the commentary, they are called as major Upanishads. Englishmen gave this expression. But all those on which Shankara has apparently not given the commentary, they are minor Upanishads. Shweta Ashvatara Upanishad lies in between. Someone says Shankara has given the commentary, somebody says it is not, he has not given the. All the Kaivalya Upanishad, Maitri Upanishad, all those Upanishads fall into Tejabindu Upanishad, all those fall into minor Upanishads. Sadhana Chatushtaya should be over, 10 Upanishads should be over, all the Vedanta treaties should be over, and then the Nididhyasana process starts. And the thoughts are reduced and the thoughts are eliminated, and it takes years of intense meditation with the goal, only goal of self-realization. Only purpose of my breathing, my inhaling and exhaling is to realize self, that Chidananda Rupa. And then in the meditation process, one reaches getting a glimpse of few seconds or maybe a minute of void. That means there is not, that is called nothinglessness. One sect of Buddhism stopped with this nothinglessness as the ultimate goal of human being. Nothing, void, total void, nothinglessness. No thoughts are there, nothing. One usually stays, one need not, one must not, but one inevitably stays this in this void state for a long time in Nididhyasana. And then that spark comes, that glimpse starts coming. What he wrote after the November 23rd birthday, that state, sparkling, vibrating, that like thousands and thousands and thousands of fountain of cold water erupting from within, that unlimited, concentrated, undiluted bliss, if you call it, that oozing out and filling the entire creation and going beyond the creation. state is the state of aham naiva bhojanam na bhojyam na bhokta. That is the state, Chidananda Rupa. How I can say? Because I confirm hereby, I hereby confirm to whomsoever it may concern that I exist as Chidananda Rupa Shiva. Even in that state of the erupting bliss, Ananda, there is awareness of that state that I am aware. Still, the bhojyam, the process experiencing is there. That has also to be transcended. The awareness of awareness has to be transcended. Then you exist as that source. Brahman doesn't think that I have created this. Brahman doesn't think about his projecting his Shakti as Prakriti and creating this universe. Brahman doesn't think. Brahman doesn't will. Brahman doesn't is not aware of anything. Still, without that awareness, without the awareness of creating, that is the illumination which illumines. It doesn't seek to illumine anything else to illumine itself. It illumines whatever you call as the entire creation, you, me, everything. That is the ultimate state. Crossing the void, crossing the nothinglessness, crossing the awareness of awareness, and where we are, introspect. So, again, a recap of the beauty of the sequence of this verse. I am this jiva. I start with I am this jiva, filled with vasanas, filled with kleshas, filled with ego identity. Avidya has gripped in. When I say I am the jiva, I have forgotten that I am ever that divine, Chidananda Rupa. So I am not experiencing the ananda of the Satchit, not ananda alone, ananda of the Satchit state. So I go about doing all actions gripped with the ahankara and the vasanas. Vasanas manifesting from the memory bank chitta, which stores the impact of all my actions. Various activities have been done, some deliberately, some not deliberately, some unaware of where this is going to lead. Many things have been done already. Now, how to start? I start taking up mantras, chanting little, learning little bit Vedas to how to chant at least without even knowing the meaning. I chant mantras. I visit Tirthasthanan. I perform yajnas. I perform some charity and go about boasting that I have done this charity. All this to gain punyam, and all this maybe God will see all these good actions and He will may also clear my papa. With all these intentions, I go about all this doing. All these are all okay. Nobody bars you from chanting mantras, visiting pilgrimage. You must. In the previous some post, he said you must go to pilgrimage. And in the context of the simplicity, he said last session, I think, that you must lead. In the context of his stay in Parthi, he told you must lead a very, very, very simple life. Sleep on the floor. Go, do everything, do this thing, do form worship, everything, but graduate, evolve. evolve. To know its true purpose is to realize self, not to gain punya papa, and then evolve further to ultimately realize. The wordings, the Sanskrit words are, you sing yourself and see. Sanskrit words are kept, like he explained in the Sai Bhajan Bina. He changed the all the sequences in this as per the sequence of a spiritual seeker, spiritual evolvement. All the lines are interchangeable. You sing and see. He did not start with Chidananda Rupa Shivam. He start with mantra na tirtha na vedo na yajna, and then proceeded to na punyam na papam na saukyam na dukkham. If we had started na punyam na papam or na bhojanam na bhujyam and then gone back and forth, the sequence will not be clear. The first mantra Tirtha Veda Yajna is not relevant because I no more seek the benefit of Papa and Punya, which will give me Saukyam or Dukkham. The Saukyam and Dukkham are not relevant for me because I have crossed the stage of experiencing that Saukyam and Dukkham. I have crossed the stage of experiencing even the meditator meditated, the Bhakta Bhakti Bhagavan. I have reached to that state. So within me, not me, this BMI, the self whispers or the self roars in all its truthfulness. I confirm that I am Chidananda Rupa Shiva. See the beauty in which it has been built. One verse enough to take you to realization. Now, a little about the pilgrimage, na mantra yajna tirtha. His own subjective experiences are more authenticated because they come from within, not read anywhere or not heard anywhere from others. For you, he has said, you may still visit Kailasha, you may still visit Tirthasthan, and you connect yourself to the higher self there, meditate. No bar in that. But taking up all these things with a selfish intention to gain punyam, which will give me saukyam in the material sense, that is kindergarten level in the spiritual sadhana. That is what Shankara is saying this. About the pilgrimage, whenever he visits Parti, it is a bonanza, it is a bonus for the 3-4 sadhakas, because definitely after the morning darshan and the evening darshan, 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour pour will come, where his mother would happily be watching TV in one room and he would be closing the other room, bolting and then pouring. So they will get the pour along with the Sun TV songs. It's a combination background, percussion. For him, in the past several years, 6, 7, 8 years, It is no more pilgrimage to Parthi. With like we start off with a picnic, we develop that mood for picnic, wear cap, sunglass, and Bermudas and t-shirt, and I am in a picnic mood like that. That pilgrimage mood is not there when he goes to the Puttaparthi. Essentially, he goes because his mother is there to be with her, to serve her, to be with her. And then he goes, having gone there, he goes to the Saikulvan Hall and sits. There is nobody in him who goes and sits there. There is no jiva in him. There is no personal God, Satya Sai Baba's, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba's thoughts there. Bhakta, Bhagavan. And there is nothing going on as far as bhakti is concerned because so Humpty number of times he has poured from there all these songs rendered. They had no relevance for him because there was no process that he was undergoing seated there. What is that state actually? Swami's lines, when I am in Brindavan, I am like the mischievous Krishna. When I am in Oti, I am that child, like the child Krishna. When I am in Puttaparthi, with the university people, with the ashram people, I am a very strict administrator and a disciplinarian. As the chancellor of the university, when I am alone, I am God. That is the state when he sits there. Not to say that he and Sai are one. No, no, no. Don't mistake his words. That state is the same. The state when one who is in that inner self, the subjective experience, that state eternally not coming and going, that state is the same state of an incarnation. Incarnation is also seen doing so many things, taking up so many activities from morning to night. Even at the night, Swami never sleeps, though he pretends to sleep. Because unless and until his eyes closes, others will not sleep. They will keep on looking at him. Narayana is there on the cot. How they can sleep? Exactly one who has attained the Chitananda Rupa Shivoham at that state. 1,000 people with 1,000 their own limitations, their own intellectual level, their own level of understanding, their own vasanas, or how they will be thinking or doing or acting in given the situation where a Jivan Mukta is doing or acting. They will superimpose their limited identity on a Jivan Mukta and say that, oh, he is doing like this, he is thinking like that. He's like somebody telling that Swami always cracks jokes. Now tell, where is the pilgrimage? Where is the bhojanam? Where is the bhojyam? Where is the bhokta at that state? Where is even someone to say, I am the Chidananda Rupa Shiva? Where is someone even to say, I am abiding in self? When I say I am abiding and self, I is the I. The abiding is the cognition. Self also becomes an object of cognition. Aham and na, aham, dohi padartha, both the things have come. That is why in the Ribhu Gita, that state is expressed as the state of not just silence, supreme silence, not just Maunam, Maha Maunam. A jnani may chant mantras, he may visit to pilgrimages. Sakshat Parabrahman Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba visited Badrinath. He visited Rishikesh. He has installed so many idols, Kartikeya, Gayatri, Hanuman, so many in his own place. He sings bhajans, but what would be the state? He sings for the world to know with what bhava one must sing. He chants for the world to know the importance of the chanting at their beginning stage in the spiritual sadhana. With every action or silence or inaction, with every step, the incarnation teaches the world what and how to do, what and how not to do. That is why his life is his message. Does he need any action? Does he have to do anything? Does he have to sing? Does he have to even give discourse? He can come and sit in that absolute state trance as Brahman, pure consciousness, half an hour. Even with the sickness, even with the illness, he comes in the car with great difficulty. Body has to undergo the various stages. He sits to teach to the world, never leave your discipline. Never make others unhappy. Give yourself to make people happy. Where is the relevance of mantra, tirtha, veda, yajna, papa, punya, saukya, dukkha, bhojanam, bhokta, bhojyam? And as devotees of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, Kali Yuga Avatar, and having walked amongst us, given us sparshan, darshan, and sambhashan, we cannot keep him hanging on the portrait there and say that where is he, where am I? All these are relevant to him. No, no. He has descended to take us to his abode, Prashanti. If this limited jiva, this person could reach, why you cannot all reach? Why? He had all the limitations which you all have, maybe much more than all the limitations of all of you put together. He will never be ashamed to say that because there is no ego left in him. He can say, when this could happen here, why not there? Why it is not possible? 100% possible. We will go through few verses from Ribhu Gita. He's not going to ask. He may end in 1.5 hours because after going so deep, If he touches the next verse, then it is not going to end in 1 hour. So verse by verse we will go. Name mrityu shanka, name jati veda, pita neva. That verse comes next. About the mantra and about the tirtha, we will see. Once he touched upon the Bhagavad, few lines he gave to you. This is only the second time. 1900 verses on this. They are all roars of a self-realized jnani. And it is believed that Shiva taught this to Kartikeya. And Kartikeya taught this to Ribhu. And Ribhu taught this to his disciple Nidagha. Coming from Shiva on the state, not even a single verse is prior to realization. One cannot touch this book before reaching that. As we say, without the invitation of Swami, you cannot go. It is Satyam. One cannot touch this. It will all be simple English. It will not be relevant at all till the time of self-realization. Whenever he takes up this, or whenever he takes up Ashtavakra Gita, whenever he takes up any Upanishads, he starts flipping through and he says, he thinks how to leave this, how to leave this, how to leave this, how to leave this. Entire thing has to be covered. But we are all living in the time-space limitation. What to do? Come to him wherever he goes after it. No time. Keep the phones away. Keep the watch away. Keep your jiva hood away. Let us swim. Let us hold hands together and cross all the time barrier. About the mantra. The blemishless knowledge of the Supreme. 1 second, let him. The blemishless knowledge of the Supreme should be practiced by the daily constant repetition. Let all these verses go in, get in. It is very appropriate to recall here that one old lady, Brahmin lady, who was serving Ramana and making food in the kitchen. She was asked to read this, and she said, Acharya, I don't understand anything of this. He said, you keep on reading, keep on reading, keep on reading. One day you will understand. So, having said that this has to be touched only after realization, as a prasad, this is being given, let it go inside at least 5%, 2%, 1%, 25%, whatever gets in, let it get inside. Or let at least the serious seekers listen to this, and with awe you think that how would be that day when I reach this state? Take it as a challenge. The blemishless knowledge of the Supreme should be practiced by the daily, constant repetition of the incomparable mantra. He talked about mantra and tirtha. He's talking about one mantra which is important. What is that? I am Brahman for a long time. It is the I am Brahman mantra alone that will destroy all your karmas. That means not that your karmas will be destroyed. The karta bhokta of the karma will be transcended. It is the same way. whether all karmas are being erased like cancer, or you transcend that bhokta, that experience of the karmas, the existence, resultant existence is the same. That is what it is saying. The renowned I am Brahman mantra alone is that which destroys all false differences. The eminent I am Brahman mantra alone will destroy all the strong ills of thought. The joyous I am Brahman mantra alone will destroy all the ills of the mind. The I am Brahman mantra alone will destroy various kinds of diseases of the mind. The pure, he is skipping few. The pure I am Brahman mantra alone will destroy all ignorance. The pure I am Brahman mantra alone will destroy all lack of discrimination. The pure I am Brahman mantra alone will destroy the misery of the mundane existence. The uplifting I am Brahman mantra alone will destroy all the yantras, all the tantras, rituals, tirtha, mantra yajna. The clarifying I am Brahman mantra alone will destroy all the manifest and the unmanifest. The transforming I am Brahman mantra alone will destroy all unreal delusion. It goes and on. Casting aside all kinds of mantras, all seekers after liberation should firmly and uninterruptedly practice the I am Brahman mantra ever. By such changeless practice, knowledge, jnana, and liberation, moksha, all will be attained in a moment. All that is seen is in imagination is ever illusory. The blemishless supreme Shiva, Shivoham, not the form Shiva, Satchidananda Parabrahman Shiva, the blemishless supreme Shiva is the only truth. The knowledge that I am that, beyond the reach of the mind, of speech, and any of the informed senses. The great mass of knowledge bliss, it's the only proper means of liberation. This is certain. Thus did Ribhu teach the fearless mantra to his disciple Nidaga. And here this is being shared to you all. And the next few, we are almost ending as we end usually, maybe 5 minutes early, don't know. One minute. The problem with the iPad is that once you switch it off, it goes to the beginning and then you have to scroll again and again. Just give me a minute. About the worship. There is no holy river or bath apart from me. There is no shrine or god apart from me. Mantra Tirtha Veda Yajna. There is no worship of gods apart from me. He started with the truth. There is no creation apart from me. There is no dharma or sin apart from me. There is no birth or bondage apart from me. There is no knowledge or liberation apart from me. There is nothing at all apart from me. Indeed, I am Brahman. One who abides in this certitude is the Jivan Mukta. There is no Vedas or scriptures apart from me. There is no prescription or prohibition apart from me. No knowledge of the realization of the Supreme apart from me. And no time or place apart from me. There is nothing apart from me anytime. I am Brahman, one who realizes this is a Jivan. There is no japa, repetition of the mantra, or tapas, intense practice apart from me. There is no ritual or mantra apart from me. There is no homa or propitiation apart from me. There is neither day or night apart from me. There is neither Brahma nor Vishnu apart from me. There is neither Hara nor any gods apart from me. I am Brahman, one who realizes this is a Jivan. How do I leave all other verses? The outstanding Jivan Mukta is the one who has a certitude. I am Brahman. Brahman is I. I am all. Securely established in the nature of Brahman, who is rid of all misconceptions and is impervious to all the images that arise as the world, the supreme, I and this, whose mind is bereft of all memories and who is bathed in the beatitude, the sublime certitude of Brahman knowledge. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivo. He would need another 5 hours for this one verse. You may be far away from this state, but you have to take it up as your only goal to reach the state where you transcend the need of mantra tirtha yajna for attaining papa punya, for clearing papa, for attaining punya, which will give you saukyam. All these things have to be transcended. Pray, pray, sing, adore. Let it be the expression of your unlimited flow of love or bliss, nothing beyond. Even when one sings Ikbar Kshama Karo Baba, let that thought, that jiva who knew not align with that line and make you feel as a sinner and ask for all these sounds. How many times from the sadhana after the bhajans he has given his state, poured his state, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. All those expressions do not mean anything, but still music is Samagana Priyakara, Sai Shankara. The music is verily that Brahman God. But all the lines, all the rituals, all the things, all these things do not mean anything who has crossed the level of Karta and Bhokta. He comes out of the sadhana and then seated in his car. He not the source pours. How these hands played deftly. However, the voice sound emerged from within when the mic was placed. How the song was sung. And if at all, now that he has stopped totally, if at all, if ever, he was given the arati that was to happen when Brother Rai was there or not after that, and he doesn't seek all those things. Who is the one who is giving the arati and to whom the arati is being given? And he is taking that round, that pradakshina, to show the arati to whom. That is also true. And say expressing that the self is performing arati to the self and then showing it to all the self, with there is with no disparity between this self and that Satya Sai self and all the participants self. That is also equally true. Not an easy session if you are going to really get into depth, two, three, four of you. For others, it has entered into their subconscious mind. Surely nothing goes waste in spiritual sadhana, 100%. It will manifest at an appropriate time. He could be a disciplinarian and end at 8 o'clock. You are all binding him to time space. Hari Om Tat Sat.